Put on here. We do hearings for workers when they're in contract negotiations or when they're out on strike or when they're having problems with the workplace. Our goal is always to create solidarity between and among the unions and also to inform the public about what the working conditions are like and how people are coping with those things. So we decided to do a series on the attack on federal agencies. And this is our second in that series, and we will be having them weekly. So we'll have one next Monday. And you will all get a notice about it because you signed the sign-up sheet. And if you haven't yet had a chance to do that, please do. So John Villar, who is the Secretary Treasurer of the Chicago Federation of Labor, is going to introduce the panelists.
Thank you, Brenda. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to our audience or the people joining us via Zoom. How many, like the thousands of people on Zoom? Not really 1,000, but no, thank you. 15 million, is that what you said?
Yes, that's exactly
Okay. No, thank you for being part of this. And, civil servants speak out. Ever since the Trump administration took office, they pretty much went after our civil servants, our federal civil servants. And the work that they do, that you all do, it's vital to everybody. I mean, we can't do our jobs if you're not doing your job. And that's why it's so important. And they demeaned you, they devalued you, they've disrespected you. And just, treated you with disrespect, treated you like enemies of the state. That's the other thing, right? Enemies of the state, that you guys are leeches, you guys are no good, you guys are lazy. But that's not true. We know that's not true. And they painted this label on you all because they want to get rid of people. They want to drag the wages and the benefits down to the bottom. And they want to put the public at risk. Think about it. I mean, all these cuts, it's going to put the public at risk. The last series we did last week, it was about public safety. The folks at the Army Corps of Engineers, how our waterways are so dependent on their work, and that they are on these levees, on these locks, watching and making sure, and they're there to protect the public. And SSA, I mean, when you're ready to retire, when you need that money, that it'll be there, and that, by the way, you don't have to wait how many weeks or months for that retirement check or that disability check. So the work that civil servants do, it touches our lives in so many ways, right? It does. And what civil servants are going through right now, the disrespect, they're stressed out, they're anxious, they're fearful at work, they can't speak out, and all they want to do is work. We all just want to do our jobs, and we don't want to have to deal with with these, the stresses and the pressure and just the attacks on just your work. And well, today, I mean, the latest round is the Postal Service, and it's been in the news lately. They, Donald Trump, the administration, DOGE, they want to dismantle the Postal Service, right? And they want to take it apart. And they want to privatize it and then sell it off or something. And then today, I'm so glad that, Louis Rivas, the president of the state NALC, is here with us. Elise Foster, the president of Branch 11. Keith Richardson, the president of Postal Workers Local, American Postal Workers Union Local 1. So, I'll just hand it over to them. I'm gonna move this for you. That way. So, I don't know who wants to start first. Ladies first.
The chance to go. When I say hell, you say no. Hell. You say.
Can't hear.
State of Illinois, we have about 5,000 members, both active and retired here in the city of Chicago. We do a little bit in Evanston, Lombard, Winnetka, Harvey, Maywood, and Westchester. Did I say Glenview. But we're here to send a clear message to the White House to say hands off the United States Postal Service.
That's right.
Hell no to dismantling the Postal Service and save it. We need to save this institution. In Washington DC, where we did a rally with our national president and a lot of other locals from across this country, because we love the Postal Service and we want to send that clear message. This executive order has not been signed yet, so, but it's reported that dismantling the Postal Service as we know it by firing the bipartisan US Board of Governors, which I think he already did, abolishing the Postal Regulatory Commission, leaving no independent regulatory authority on pricing and service, placing the agency under the Commerce Department. This is a direct threat to 640,000 employees, including 200,000 active city-led carriers NLC represent. Our universal services at stake, every American who depends on this postal service. The consequences will be devastating, including jeopardizing the job, which is so important, the jobs for 7.9 million people employed by the 1.29 trillion mailing industry. 1.92 trillion mailing industry. Sharply reducing service to rural America, including 51 million households and businesses are private, where private carriers do not deliver. The United States Postal Service, we make that last mile delivery, because we go everywhere, every day. Increasing shipping costs, ultimately driving inflation, higher for businesses and consumers, shift financial burden to taxpayers because the UPS operate on their no tax dollars. And this is eventually what happened. The ideas of unconstitutional and illegal. The Postal Service is the oldest country, the Postal Service is older than our country and it is enshrined in the Constitution. The Constitution gives Congress, not the President, a key role in setting postal policy. The Postal Reorganization Act of 1970 removed the Post Office Department from President Cabinet and created the USPS as the independent agency that exists today. Why we are fighting? Because we love the Postal Service and it's our job to serve the American people. Our customers love us and we love them. And we get up each and every day, rain, sleet, snow, 40 below, and some of the worstest communities and safety hazards that we have to go to make sure that our customers receive their medicine, receive their mail, important documents. We are a viable service to the American public. For the jobs of 640,000 postal employees, 73,000 of them who are veterans who fought for this country. And how dare you say you're gonna lay them off? And they fought for this country, and I'm hearing that the president did not.
Yeah.
Okay? And I love my veterans because they fought for this country, and we all have a right to, and to help them and to make sure that they have everything that they need to, because they put it on the line as well. To uphold our universal service obligation, deliver 370 million pieces of mail and packages, nearly 160 million delivery points every day nationwide. To protect one of the most beloved public agencies, which is the United States Postal Service. It's constantly ranked among the most trusted government agency. Against any privatization efforts or reorganizational mandates that would threaten our jobs and the postal service as we know it. You do have a House Resolution 70 in place. I know Louis is going to talk about that. That was sponsored by Rep. Lynch and Nick Lyola, Massachusetts and New York. So with that being said, like I said, we love our postal service. I represent the letter carriers here in Chicago that each and every day that fear right now that it's at our doorstep more than ever. They come back to take these attacks on the United States Postal Service. And I'm going to need it's going to take all of us to send a clear message to the United States White House to hands off the Postal Service and leave us alone. So when I say hell, you say no. Hell. Hell. When I say hell, you say no. Hell. Hell no. All right, thank you all. Also, we're gonna be having our Hell No rally. Everybody got the pamphlet out there. In conjunction with the state association, a lot of lady carriers across the whole state will be here. I see our national business agent in here, Mike Carey. He will be out there rallying with us to say hell no and hands off the United States Postal Service. Thank you.
I want to thank Chicago Federation of Labor for organizing this event. I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. I figured them all $5 to be here. Well, so, but thank you all for coming out. It's an important, we all gather and explain and educate the public about what's going on with the Trump administration. It's not just the Postal Service that's under attack. It's all of the federal employees. The federal employees have been under attack by the Trump administration and DOGE since he came into office on January 20th. Unfortunately, a number of union members voted for the Trump presidency based on his promises of reducing grocery prices, gas, and other reductions. The only reduction we have seen at the federal level is a reduction of number of federal employees who are being laid off, let go, and now they're all having voters remorse. They're all saying, hey, I didn't vote for you for this. I voted for you because you were gonna lower the price of eggs, or the price of gas, or the price of my groceries, or my utilities. Okay, eggs are what, $9 a dozen now? Gas is right around $3, fluctuates, hit or miss depending on the day of the week and what happens across the world. And then here's Elon Musk slashing all the agencies, but yet, and the agency that has oversight of what he does is gone, and he's still doing what he wants. And who's gonna suffer? The consumer. All right, they're cutting back on, I just heard over the weekend, they're cutting back on the National Weather Service people. So, we're coming into tornado season real soon, followed by hurricane season. All right, there's wildfires going on in the Carolinas right now. Those are red states. And what did Trump say? He's gonna reduce the staffing at FEMA and have all the states take over the expenditures incurred by FEMA. Okay, and how do you do that? How do the states do that? By using their own resources. And how do you do that? You got to increase property tax. You got to increase your taxes to cover those expenditures and cover those expenses. And those go into the billions. Look at what's happened with Florida with the hurricanes over the years. And all the wildfires in California, thanks to our first responders that have put their lives on the line every day to take care of those people and try to save lives. So one of the things that Project 25 has alluded to is the federal employees, they want to increase the retirement annuities for current federal employees. Right now, at least Keith have been employed prior to 2012, so we pay like 0.8% of our base pay into our annuities, okay? If you were hired after 2013, it was 3.1. Okay, now they want to make it a standard 4.4 for everyone. So now that's going to cut into our pockets. Okay. Secondly, there's a proposal to eliminate the federal employees' Social Security supplement. So if you were a federal employee and you have the years of service and you retire, the age and you want to retire, say like in the Postal Service, you can retire at 56 or 57 if you have some years of service. You're eligible to receive what we call the bridge Social Security supplement. They want to eliminate that. Okay. There are currently a number of postal employees that are taking advantage of that Social Security supplement to cover them till they reach the age of 62 and become eligible for Social Security. If the Trump administration goes forward and gets rid of that, that's going to affect their bottom line. They'll have people looking for jobs because they're based on retirement on that additional income they were going to receive. There's also reviving an administration by the Trump administration based on the retirement calculations. Currently, if you retire from as a federal employee, your retirement is based on your high 3 salary. Okay, so whatever you worked over the years, your highest 3 years of salary, that's what your retirement will be calculated at. Now they want to raise that to your high 5, which means I can go today if I wanted to, I'm eligible. But if they go my high 5, they'll look at it. But like someone like Elise or Keith who have less time than me and aren't there yet, they'll have to work longer to reach the retirement rate. And then now we got the health benefit plan. So the postal service, due to the pre-funding issue that we've had over the years, where we required to pre-fund our health plan for like 75 billion over a 10-year period, that's finally been passed. But because of that, we started this postal service plan called the Postal Service Health Benefit Plan, which is a subset of the federal employee plan, health benefit plan. And that's only for all postal employees. It's the clerks, the roll carriers, the mail handlers, the letter carriers, all the managers. Only the postal employees are in the subset of PSO, or PIVA, we call it. They now want to eliminate the federal employee health benefit plan and the postal service health benefit plan and go to a voucher plan. Which could be like, who knows what that will be like. We have great health plans, as union members, and if they come to a voucher stuff, we have no idea what we're gonna end up with. And then finally, they want to charge, and this was brought up in the first administration. Elise has her own office, you have, and as does Keith, right? You have no place. But I'm a small local. I'm all the local president and the branch state president. But I'm a small local of 200 members in Displays. We use an office space in the post office. Okay, we keep our files, our records, and that's where we meet. The Trump administration now wants to charge unions to rent that space out. Okay, if I am now working on agreements with a carrier in my office, the post office pays me for that time, while I go on union time, represent the member, whether it's just an investigative issue, addressing the issue with the supervisors, or meeting with the postmaster at any union related issue. The post office pays me. Well, what they want to do is eliminate that. And then my branch would have to pay me for that time. I think it's called official time. They want to do away with that. So those are just some of the attacks that we're facing currently as fellow employees. Now, we are fortunate that we have a lot of friends in Congress that support the Postal Service on both sides of the aisle. We're one of the few unions in the country, federal unions, that have a lot of support from Republicans. It's hard to believe it, but it's true, mainly because we serve a lot of rural communities. We deliver 169 delivery points every day, 6 days a week, and over 51 million of those are rural communities. Now, if you ask a Republican congressman or Republican senator about this, they will privately say we are opposed to it. But they will not come out publicly and say the president is wrong, because they're afraid of being primary or the repercussions that's going to happen to him. You saw what happened with the Zelensky issue on Friday. Okay, he met with Congress, they were all on his side before the meeting with the president. Once that meeting was over, they all changed their tune. You know why that was, and you can speculate why that was. So, but we do have a lot of Republican support. When President Trump first announced he wanted to privatize, we were all shocked. I was meeting with Congressman Shumi and Garcia, and I showed him the headline. It's like, what is this all about? And I kind of know, but we're going to find out. So our national union started making phone calls to our friends in Congress, Republican friends in Congress, to push back. Okay, to get the word out. Hey, this isn't a great idea. You can affect your constituency. On Friday, they had a day of action where they asked all the members to call Speaker Mike Johnson. We did. The letter carriers did. All the postal union called the speaker to tell him this is not a good idea. We crashed the phone lines in DC because it was just too many phone calls. Okay. On the 24th of February, they had a national rally in DC. The speaker against this. They had a couple of congressmen from Illinois. Sorensen was out there. Who else was up there? Do you remember? Sorensen was. Okay, but Eric Sorensen, that he spoke about people, at least alluded to the veterans. The Postal Service is the second largest employer of veterans behind the Department of Defense. All right, so we have 73,000 veterans. All right, we hire a lot of them. I work with a lot in my office too. So we're pushing back. Now we're having this one-day nationwide rally across the country in every major market that we can send the message. And the message is, keep your hands off the Postal Service. So we said, the Postal Service is the oldest institution in the government, all right, in America. Ben Franklin was our first postmaster general. Okay. Raja who was on the oversight committee, which oversees the post office, provided me some information today. They sent a letter to President Trump, and I'm gonna read a part of it. It says, "We write with you with grave concern for the future United States Postal Service, one of our nation's most essential and trusted institutions. You reported efforts to dismantle the Postal Service as an independent agency would directly undermine the affordability and reliability of the US postal system. We urge you to abandon immediately any plans that would either privatize the post office or undermine the independence of the Postal Service." And he talks about the previous attempts. He directs the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution designates Congress, not the executive branch, with the exclusive power over post office and post roads. Any effort to privatize the post office or move it into the executive branch department requires explicit, I repeat, explicit authorization from Congress, which Congress would not provide. The Postal Service functions as an independent, self-sustaining agency that relies on its own revenues, not Congress, to fund the postal network. Your unprecedented and reckless plan to dismantle the Postal Service as an independent agency would directly undermine the affordability and reliability of the postal system. We goes on to elaborate more about what the post office does. We're talking about pricing. Over the last week, I read an article, I read a comment on social media. And of course, what you read on social media is always true, right? We all know. But this gentleman, I don't know what this person was, went to mail a package through UPS. It was $101. It was an overnight package. He went to the Postal Service, that same package cost him $33. So it just explains the viability and affordability of the Postal Service. The push to privatize, like it would happen, here's what would happen. Areas like this or downtown, they would get service every day, because whoever it is controls the price. They can set whatever pricing they want. If you go out in the rural communities or the suburbs, they'll be going to a centralized delivery unit, receiving their mail. Okay, when these attempts happened prior with Darrell Issa and James Coburn, back in like 2009, 2010. You were in DC lobby and Tammy Duckworth, who was then the House President, and you know about Tammy's handicap, was in a subcommittee hearing about the Postal Service. She left the subcommittee meeting and explained what her testimony was. She said, if you privatize the post office, I'm handicapped. I would have to get in my wheelchair, go down the block, and get to my mail. Okay, if I choose not to wear a prosthesis that day because my legs hurt, and my box is at the top, how am I gonna get it? Better yet, what if my neighbor comes to get her mail? She's an 80-year-old person, and it's like 20 below. How is she gonna get her mail? So it was that kind of testimony that back then that helped push back. Now, this has been a battle we've been fighting since 2008, 2009, and we've always been concerned, but we felt confident that we could beat it. This time, I am very extremely worried because you can just not trust what the president is going to do based on his actions that have taken place over the past since he's been president last month. Now, Raj also sent me a video, which I sent to Don. I'm probably not able to play it right now. So they had hearings recently. And Roger took his time in the hearing to talk about the post office and how important it was. And I have the text of that as well. But what Roger did say was if the post office, the administration was to try to privatize it, they need to have hearings to investigate what they want to do. And Comer, who was the chairman, Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, agreed to hold hearings. So we have Comer on record that they tried to privatize it. They're gonna have hearings in the House Subcommittee on Oversight to look at what they want to do and see what we can do to try to stop it. So we're gonna need all of you in the room, your neighbors, your mothers, your brothers, your sisters, your kids, you know, any community network, any social service agency, our representatives in the state, our representatives in Congress. You know, we have a couple of here at Tucson from the state rep from the area, and then Eric Benson's here from Sean Caston's office. Anton Matthews is here from Congressman Schneider's office. So, and there's here from, Illinois Citizens Action, so we need everybody out there to help us. Send a message to Congress that this is wrong. So America's Postal Service is America's institution. We serve everybody. Everybody who relies on the Postal Service. Thank you.
My name is Keith Richardson. I'm the president of the American Postal Workers Union, Chicago Local Number 1. We have been in existence here in the city since 1906. We'll be celebrating our 120th birthday this December 4th. I represent the clerks who stand at the window who sell the stamps, the mail processors in the back, the maintenance employees, as well as the truck drivers who transport the mail from facility to facility. As Louis stated earlier, on February 20th, the Washington Post reported that the president would issue an executive order firing the Postal Board of Governors, the Postmaster General, and placing the USPS under the control of the Commerce Department and its billionaire secretary, Howard Lutnick. These efforts have since been confirmed by the president. I personally want to say that I don't think that Louis DeJoy has been the worst postmaster that we had, because previous to him, Megan Brennan and Donahoe, they were much worse. And they brought nothing to the vitality and helping the Postal Service to be sustainable and going forward. So I would just personally say that. Also, the Postal Service is enshrined in the Constitution, created by Congress and supported by the people. The Postal Service belongs to the people, not to any one individual or billionaires. The Postal Service is a democratic right of the people with a universal service mandate that requires delivery to 169 million addresses at least 6 days a week, no matter who we are or where we live. No private company would or could provide such universal service, as private companies were based on private profit, period. We go where they won't go. If you live on an Indian reservation in the foothills of Arizona, Postal Service will deliver to where they live. If you're in Alaska, if you're Inuit people, we will deliver there. The Postal Service goes anywhere. Amazon won't do it, FedEx won't, UPS, none of them. Postal Service sets the standard, period, for delivery 6 days a week. Any such executive orders would amount to an illegal hostile takeover of the USPS as the law is clear. The Postal Board of Governors are appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Only the Postal Board of Governors can hire or fire the PMG. The USPS is perfectly set up by Congress to be free of political interference. Furthermore, only Congress can change the structure of the Postal Service, not the President of the United States. It has to take an act of Congress. And as Louis said, on both sides of the aisle, the Postal Service in this form is the most trusted agency ever, because who do we serve? We serve the American public. We touch everybody. So if you do away with us, just think of what other institutions or companies or that will follow us. It would be terrible. The reported action is an attack on the Postal Service that millions of Americans rely upon. Any undermining of its independence and mission is an assault on American people, as it will be a death spiral heading to more and more privatization. Privatizing means turning over public postal services to private companies and investors whose goal is maximum profit, not the well-being and the rights of the people. Privatization of the public postal service in whole and part will lead to higher prices and reduced services, especially to rural America. Just think what the president said about the Gaza Strip. He would turn it into a Riviera. Just think of all of the real estate that the Postal Service earns. In some rural communities, the Postal Service is an incubator that drives the community. It's the only building, that's where everybody meets. So if you privatize it, what you gonna do with all the real estate? You know, some turn off into private Rivieras? It's not right. So USPS is the low-cost anchor of the 1.2 trillion package industry, consisting of over 7 million jobs. As Sister Elise said earlier, we employ 70,000 veterans. We also service veterans wherever they are in war zones and military bases. I work in a facility where my 450 job is. is where at the International Military Service Center, where we deliver to all of the war zones. Just think of the packages that's come from moms and dads that goes to those soldiers that they rely on because they're not here, they can't get the needed necessities that they need. How could you trust that to a private company? We deliver to wherever, and we have to continue to support our veterans. The public should take these threats seriously. In Trump's first term, in 2018, there was a report that proposed an outright privatization of the USPS, selling it off to private corporations for private profit. In the December 2024 press conference, he said there is talking about the Postal Service being taken private. You do know that. You know, we're all gonna do it. And one of his first acts that's coming back, what did he say? Let's get rid of it. It won't be a bad idea, but it would be a terrible idea to dismantle the Postal Service. We have to keep it. On March the 20th, we too will be having a nationwide rally. We don't have the information now, but it will be coming out. We're gonna be joining our sisters and brothers of the NALC. If the rural letter carriers should do something, or the National Postal Mariners Union, we're all gonna stick together to make sure that our service remains solvent and we keep serving the American people. Again, lastly, the Postal Service, we're gonna be celebrating our 250th anniversary this year as a whole. So 250 years we have been serving this country, the people. To do away with it would be disastrous. We need all of you to stand up with us and for us to maintain the service that provides such essential services to you. Thank you.
So I got a thing from Ryan's office today about, House Resolution 14. It's dealing with the budget. So they call it the House Republican Budget Betrayal, but basically talks about disseminating vital programs and services that affect the middle class and working families, rely on Medicaid, Affordable Care Act, and food assistance. Basically, this plan to pay for to give them, to take away from the less fortunate and give to the billionaires for their tax cuts. So, of course, the Democratic caucus is going to vote no on this. But it's coming up. So, I mean, for the fact, federal unions and supporting the Postal Service is what I was told at that's at one point, but something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. I mean, just echoing what Keith said. We sort of know what privatization means in Chicago, right? All right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see the parking meter outside. Anybody drive over the Skyway lately, right? They privatized that. So that's what privatizing means, right? It's but more weight and burden on working families. And then the impact of these cuts. I mean, veterans, they've served their country, they served our country, and now they're gonna be tossed aside. And I mean, just the loss of service. And especially for our rural community, our elderly, our people with disabilities, the folks who depend on the Postal Service. And the other part of it, I just want to point out, for a while, our postal workers have been taking a beating, right? I mean, they have been beat up on their routes, and just, pretty much, it's just been awful. And to add insult to injury, now it's like, hey, we don't need you anymore. The disrespect and just the valuing of their work. But thank you. Thank you for everything you said. And I'm gonna hand it over to Brenda.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot from you. I wish I'd been taking notes. The gentleman sitting next to me was taking notes. I'm sitting there thinking, I should have seen a notebook. But we really appreciate your preparation and your explanations. So this is the time when we open the floor for other people to speak. So who would like to share a story about their experience in the Postal Service or working for the Postal Service?
Well, I want to say something.
Please.
Like I said, my name is Elise Paul, I'm a letter carrier. And I started my career June 11, 1994, right in this community. And I have watched it grow. I have met many people, but I service this community. Not knowing that I would one day become the president and represent letter carriers, but I am proud to say that I have service in this community right here. I did some overtime up and down the street, Halsted, and the postal service has provided a decent living for me and my family and all of my members of this NALC. And I just say that we're gonna need you all support out there, because it's just not the workers, it's the customers, it's the community that has kept this institution going, as he said, for 250 years. We want to keep it going. We just don't want to just cut it. But I just want to say that I'm a proud letter carrier, and I service the customers in this community for over, well, I got 30 years, but I've been doing union work as well. But I've been on the street there about 16 years, but this is why I started my career. So I know how customers treat their mail carrier. They love us. And in turn, we're gonna need you all to help us, because like I said, I've delivered mail in Bridgeport, and it is beautiful out here. And 60608, just the community that we serve, we touch so many different communities, delivering mail, and see so many people, meet great people, stories. And I think we, Louis, to talk about the food drive. The second Saturday, man, something that we hold near and dear to our hearts, to get out there to collect food and fill pantries up for many communities that have food deserts. And doing school, when the kids are out, they have someplace to go, and that's solely what letter carriers do as a part of our job. So I just want to say I thank you for hosting this and still being here, because I remember when it used to be bigger and then you all consolidated, but I delivered and walked the streets of Halsted and delivered mail to these customers, and I love my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I have a story I want to share. So before I became state representative of this district, I was a community organizer in Chinatown. And this was back when there was an attempt to close, I don't know how many branches around.
Consolidation, yeah. if you're looking at
Yeah,
that.
so.
Yeah.
Chinatown, the Chinatown, you know, post office was one of the ones that they wanted to close. And so, you know, I met folks from Branch 11 back then because, you know, they came and rallied with us. You know, we fought back really hard. We made a case, you know, we got all of our community members to write letters to the Postmaster General. We had a rally. We fought back because it was really important that we kept those services for the community in Chinatown. It's, you know, a lot of seniors, you know, a lot of immigrants, folks who are challenged with transportation, you know, they can't, you know, go to some other neighborhood to use the post office, right? They had to have their post office right there. And so we fought really hard. We worked together. That's when we forged this coalition. You know, I went and rallied at one of the other post offices that was threatened with closure, and you all came and rallied with us. And in the end, we were able to push back and keep our post office open. But, you know, this is a bigger fight. And, you know, there's a lot at stake. And so I just want to say that, you know, we're going to be right there with you, fighting alongside you, because we know how important it is to keep these services. You know, our communities need the support and the love that you all bring when you come deliver our mail. So I want to thank you. And just say that I'm committed to fight alongside with you. Thank you.
What she's speaking about, I remember it was a direct assault on the post office in the communities where there were a lot of nursing homes, where there were, you know, where there was language barriers. And there were a lot of the post offices that were named specifically after African-American legislator, people, Otis Grant College, right, Florida. They were attacked institutions. They didn't go, you know, on the north side, they didn't go over east, they specifically attacked the communities where it was needed the most. So that was a fight, but now just think, if it was only 6 or 7 officers, trying to get rid of the whole country, we have to stand up. If we don't, this institution will go away. You know, the medicine that's delivered to the nursing homes, just the service that we supply. If we allow the White House to eliminate us, it will impact every industry in the nation. Every address will be impacted and affected. So, and it could cost people their lives.
Not just the nation, but globally, because
Yeah.
the Postal Service delivers 40% of the world mail. So if the United States Postal Service delivers almost half of the world's mail. The rest of the world delivers their own little mail, the portion they got, to make up the other 56%. So that could at least said, it's a $1.92 trillion global mailing industry. So there are a lot of people tied into the Postal Service, not just the 640,000 postal employees. It's the printers, the print. It's the people that work at the mailing houses to do all the mailing, especially political seasons. It's the truck drivers, it's the private contractors. We have blind vendors that come into my office that fill our vending machine. I think every post office does. Those are the people that would be part of the, 7.3 million individuals who were directly or indirectly connected to the Postal Service, and it would be a big catastrophic impact on not only America's economy, but on the global economy. Yes.
There's somebody back there.
Question, a comment, story. Sir, Scott, one of the things that I think people underestimate about postal care.
You want to speak up? So.
Yeah. One of the things that people underestimate about postal carriers is that they don't just deliver mail in our neighborhoods. I don't know how many times a postal worker's knocked on my door after dropping the mail off and said, did you know you're parked in a place where you're gonna get a ticket? You better move your car. Stuff like that happens all the time with postal workers. They come and they not just, they're parts of the community, and we've got to respect them. We've got to make sure they get decent pay. And the last thing I want to say, God's probably gonna knock me out for this. I have to say it anyway. That guy that makes the Teslas?
Yes, what's his?
The rat. The Musk rat. Yeah, I mean, Eli and Musk rat.
Anyone else?
Yeah, who else would like to share a story or some thoughts? Yes.
So I have a question. One of the themes that I kind of heard when with everyone talking is that one of the most important things that we're trying to do is to send a message, and that whether that be through the rally that's upcoming, or through the us as community members, supporters, customers, or members of the Postal Service to send a message to Congress. Do we have other options that we can do alongside of that? Is that our only tool at our disposal?
So the NELC and the postal unions are all, so there's a big coalition. So whenever the four postal union, that's a lot of the National Postal Carriers, the American Postal Workers Union, the National Carriers, the mail handlers, part of the laborers union, and the management team all get together, which doesn't happen very often, correct? We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. But when everyone is involved and concerned about what's going to impact them, like I told my postmaster, I'm giving you time off to go to these different events, because this affects your job as well. They'll come after you guys first, because you're a manager. You guys need to computer all day. We'll probably be the last ones to go, because you're going to the mail. So sending a message to Congress is one thing, sending a message to the Department of Commerce, sending a message to the White House is the other thing. We gotta get all those people involved. Congress is on our side.
Yes.
Okay, they're gonna back us. But we're doing the rallies, we're sending letters, anything we can do to convey our message, you keep your hand off the Postal Service. As a state president, I was on a telecon last night. And they're gonna bring all the state presidents from Illinois into DC right after our rally on the 23rd. And we're gonna talk more about what we're going to do. This is a very fluid situation. So what our plan is today could change in 2 days, depending on what comes out of the White House. have a plan that we're working on, and we keep growing that plan, so we're just waiting for our director from our national leaders. For the CPW or the other unions I mentioned, the NLC, they're gonna lead the flight, and we're just gonna go out and say, convey the message to our members, to the public, to everybody that we know. We have a large network in Illinois. I mean, Illinois is very, very fortunate. We're a blue state in a sea of red.
Yeah.
So we're very, very lucky. We're a strong union town, union state, you know, and we have a lot of affiliates with unions. I've been working legislative since 2006, so I've developed a nice network of community groups, townships, state politicians, local politicians, municipalities. I was at two events yesterday, the King County Truman Awards and the DuPage County Gala, and I was working in a room like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing this rally, we need your support, and I need the information. So they're all waiting. So yeah, we're getting whatever we can to get the message out, we're gonna do it, but Congress, it's the Department of Congress and this community lighthouse, which I don't know.
And you can also support your local post office. That's a stamp. Stop using stamps.com. We need our delivery people to be delivering. We need our machines to be rolling. Send some Christmas cards this year. Just like we support you, we need you all to support us. Support your local post office.
One of the things I think about is that in taking down federal workforce, Trump is actually letting people know what the federal workforce does and is bringing that out very clearly. You know, if you're gonna cut postal workers, people are gonna know, you know, people are gonna feel in their gut what that's. Last week when we had the guy who was talking about water, I didn't know any of that stuff, you know? Most of us, I think, don't know what all these federal agencies do for us. And what he's doing by firing people is exposing us to understand what the government does and what the government does for us and why we need it, which I think is really interesting. And I think it's very important that each of the industries, each of the federal agencies involved communicate and ally with all the others. We build, yes,
You asked for stories, so I always could tell one from my neighborhood, because I think
please.
we've heard at postal workers say, you know, every day an agent of the federal government got, you know, comes to your house, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I realized they're talking about the mailman or the mail lady. And then I remembered when I was raising my children, one of my little girls was outside waiting for her friend to pick her up. And when the friend came, I went out and my daughter was gone. But I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And just then, the mailman came along and I said, oh, have you seen Corey? Do you know her? Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Marshall. I saw she wandered down the street with her bike and I've been watching her and I know where she is. The mail carriers are part of our communities and part of the network. You know, Elise didn't say it. She was our mail carrier here. She delivered our mail and we knew her. And that's why we always collect food here. And if you have food for the drive, feel free to leave it here. So it's really an attack on the social network that holds communities together and it's so beloved. And besides all the other things, I wanted to pay that tribute to postal work.
Thank you. Please.
Hello, well, first, thank you for everything you do for working people all over the country and the world, and for this information. I had a couple of questions. Obviously, it's a very fluid situation, as you said, Louis, but I was wondering if, there's any indication of a timeline and scope of the attack. You mentioned some of the things about abolishing regulation, and then kind of another question is, you know, what is some of like the counterattack? You mentioned House Resolution 70, I believe. You could speak a little bit more about that. And then Keith, you mentioned there's a March 20th nationwide rally. Is that just going to be in DC? Is that also going to be, is March 23rd a part of that? So I guess those are my three questions.
All right, so HR 70 is the resolution introduced in the House by Lynch and Nick Bellotta of Republicans. He mentioned Democrats in Massachusetts. Nick Bellotta is a Republican from, New York. When I first heard that, the governor said, the president said, well, the post office lost money, we should privatize. This was during the campaign, October, November. I was concerned. When he won, and then they swore Congress in, I called Congressman Christian Barton, he's on oversight, like, hey, this is what the president wants to do, can you guys work on drafting legislation opposing privatization of the post office? They were working on it when Stephen Lynch came out and the law came out with this bill, but basically, this just talks about, there are, the post office delivered 376 million pieces of mail last year. We deliver more in one day than UPS and FedEx does in a year. Okay. As Elisa alluded to, we have the we have the largest delivery network in America. Okay. We use, Amazon and UPS and FedEx drop parcels at our office so we can deliver them. They won't go to those addresses. So we have about 105 toll sponsors on HR 70. A majority of them are Democratic congressmen, and we're looking at pushing with this legislation with the Republican. But it just talks about the value of people, how essential it is. We were one of the few agencies that worked during the pandemic. We were working 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. Because we all had staffing issues, we had people retiring because they were concerned, we had people that came down with COVID. We had a lot of our members unfortunately passed away because of COVID and across the Postal Service. So we were working a lot of hours and we were delivering checks, we were delivering medications, we were delivering COVID kits. We were delivering PPE, toilet paper towels. Sometimes we delivered bottles of water. We delivered everything during COVID. And that's what this legislation does. It just talks about how essential the post office is, how long it's been in service, who we serve, the impact it would have if they were to privatize it. That was the one thing. As far as the other part is, we just keep getting our message out. There's more plans in the works, so it's happening. Every day, like I said, every day could be different. He on February 20th, he came out and said he was going to privatize it that night. He was gonna do it Thursday, then it was Friday, then it was over the weekend, then it was Monday. So we're now, 10 days, almost 2 weeks post the 20th, his announcement, and nothing's happened because we're pushing back. The Republicans are quietly pushing back. Okay, so it's just a matter of how he feels on that given day, if he's gonna do it or not. Because I just don't know what he's gonna do, because again, he attacked federal workers. He started shutting down agencies, he cut aid to a lot of people, like the US State Department, and he's cutting back on, now the Social Security's on, and Medicare and Medicaid's on the menu to be attacked next. They go to the Department of Education, the food stamp programs being cut, so it just depends on how he feels. I think we have enough support from the American public and Congress that we can keep pushing back. I know the Democrats are gonna push back, a lot of the Republicans are. They're quietly pushing back, they're not gonna come out and say, hey, this is wrong. They're afraid of what's gonna happen. But it's gonna be, it's like a day-to-day thing. So back when the post office, when the economy crashed in 2008, the post office was basically living paycheck to paycheck, because our mail volumes dropped dramatically. We weren't sure we were gonna they were making payroll every week, every 2 weeks, but we did. And then they were saying, well, maybe we should privatize it then, the internet still is affecting the Postal Service, but the internet was a boom for the post office because of e-commerce and number of people deliver now. We deliver a lot of parcels. Some routes more than others. And it wasn't it Amazon that was delivering in their neighborhoods? And then they pulled out because of all the crime that was happening to the letter carriers in there. And then Amazon and delivery, Amazon and FedEx. All that parcels went to the Postal Service because we have to go to every door. Now, we've had issues over the years, through the last 4 or 5 years since the pandemic, with carriers being attacked, being robbed. Unfortunately, 5 or 6 of our members have been killed in the line of duty. Because they're looking for the keys, because they want to, get access to the keys, get the checks, watch the checks, steal people like that. So there's a lot at stake, whether it's just secondary members from being attacked on the streets of delivering mail or attacked from the White House. We have a lot of challenges right now. But I think we're strong enough as an organization that we can face the challenges.
March 20th is gonna be a nationwide effort here, like, they're gonna be mobilizing on March 23rd. We're gonna join them, and it's gonna be asking all of our workers, our union members in the country to help us mobilize. And we gotta keep up the pressure, and we have to, just let them know that the Postal Service is serious that
So it'll be like multiple days of action starting
Um,
20.
March 20th is gonna be a nationwide day of action, but we're gonna continue to do it. It's not gonna just do it one day, you know. Who was here in 1971, pre-Postal Reorganization Act? And you knew how the mail was.
Oh, yeah.
But just think, when they did that great strike, when they shut the system down, and they sent in the National Guard to try to do our job, it couldn't be done. And the same thing now, people think that we're unskilled workers and we don't know what we're doing. It takes a lot of skill and care to work those machines inside the post office. It takes these letter carriers a lot of skill and precision when they're doing those routes. They have to do adjustments all the time. You just can't come off the street and do that work.
Yeah.
So take us for granted or not. If you try to shut us down, we shut the whole country down.
One last thing, and I need to say this, letter carriers are hero. We go out there each and every day, and we're the only face some of our customers see. And we go by the house and see such and such mails piled up or something looks suspicious, we knocking on doors, we alerting neighbors, something ain't right at this house. And we save lives, we ready to build these fires and get, the authorities out there. So we do a lot of things out there in the community, and we have carriers our heroes and save lives, and the customers are ever grateful for that. Because if we did not come down there, we know how long a customer will be on that ground and fell down the steps and can't get to no phone or nothing, they can't move until they see the letter carrier, they know what time they're coming, and they can make a sound or something to alert them, and that's how we can, save lives and and help the community, but we mostly been needed out there.
I just want to piggyback on Lisa's comment about we're out there every day. So Congressman Schneider, 4 or 5 years ago, I was living mail, he called me. I go, this is a political question. I cannot talk to you, I'm working. There's rules I gotta follow. Oh, no, I gotta tell you a story. I go, okay. He goes, I was in Waukegan at a senior luncheon, and they were talking about, the topic was combating loneliness. And they have a lot of issues with loneliness because they live by themselves. And Congressman Snyder said, I heard your voice, my voice, and Brian Dupree, who is letter carrier up in Highland Park, in my background saying, letter carriers are at your door 6 days a week. They know what's going on in your neighborhood. And he said to the seniors, get to know your mailman. He's there 6 days a week. He will know what is going on. If something is going on, it's not right, like we said, the mail piling up. We're gonna knock on your door. We're gonna call someone. We're gonna go to the neighbors. I've done that several times. What's going on? Have you seen this person? Oh yeah, I'll get a hold of them. They're fine. Okay, good. Because that's what we do. We take care of our customers. What was that program called? Carrier alert for the seniors? Yeah, we have carrier alert program for the seniors. So we do a lot of things, so.
At least Keith, how do the members feel right now, with the threat and pressure?
Well, my members, they're scared. Like I said, it's right now at the doorstep. We hear talks about it over the years about career. And right now, we know what happened 8 years ago when he was in office. He said that he was coming to do it. We tried to do it. So now we knew that at the point in that project 2025, that some things is gonna happen. And he's actually, the members are worried. They are scared. We are scared for our members. I'm scared because I work for the Postal Service. So if there's no Postal Service, there's no union. But they're worried about it. We got carriers that's not protected, that's under 6 years. We got non-career employees out there waiting to be converted to career. What's gonna happen to them if this happens? They're not even protected. Well, we got the 6 years or more of those carriers, at least can find something for them because they're protected. But we have a 2-tier, we have the CCA, our city carrier systems that come in, the non-career contracted 2 years, they can convert into a career status and move on, but get to that 6 years, but it's a lot of them out there that's not. So the membership is out there, they're worried, They're more attentive, they're watching the news, and they're seeing what's going on, and they're asking, what can we do? What can we do to help? We want to participate, and like all of us are echo, we need you all out there. We need you out there making a phone call, get everybody involved, your families, to make these calls and to march and to rally with us. We got to go back, we got to take it to the streets, y'all. We got to fight.
Yep, we're gonna put, yes,
I
absolutely.
like that.
Exactly. We still have some time if people still have questions or stories that you'd like to share. Just one, do you guys have those posters?
When it comes around on the 23rd, they're gonna be out there on the 23rd and shirts. Louis has some coming, I have some to come for our membership, and we're gonna be at 2:30, Dearborn. We tried to get some for this rally today, but they couldn't get them in from DC. So our national is spearheading all of this, the shirts, the information, the posters, the flyers. So they're gonna be coming in, soon.
So the great thing about Federal Plaza is you got the federal building right across the street, and right behind us is the post office.
Yes, yes. I actually read today, I was
Brenda.
thinking of.
Oh, we've got some comments online too.
Oh, okay, good. I'm just gonna finish my sentence.
Yeah.
He's gonna want all the federal agencies in Chicago out of their buildings. I mean.
He's vindictive.
It is, yes. Did you wanna?
Day back there.
Did you, yeah, good.
Yeah, I had a question on, yeah, thank you all for all the work that you do for this country, for the working class of this country. Trump is going on an all-out assault on, like you mentioned, all federal workers, which, historically has been a pathway to the black middle class, to some type of leisure in this country. My question was, about what is going on the offensive look like, right? Because, like how, for my whole life, we've been fighting to save, fill in the blank, or defend, fill in the blank. And we're kind of just defending the gains that have been won from like the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s, et cetera. But what does it look like to go on the offensive now? Because if they're going to attack all federal workers, then to me, I think of like, well, I will kind of, like you kind of chosen a battle. So will there be like some united federal worker resistance? So I was just curious about like, what does that look like? Because it's the first month and he's gonna be here for an entire 4 years. And, if we can't just be continually on the defensive, how do we go on the offensive? What does that look like?
Well, I know we're, our NLC is working on something, they haven't came out yet, but I know we can't strike. We can't strike to make that point, and we go to, how we have, we cannot strike. And that would be the way to get it out there, like he stated in 1970, when they had the wildcard strike, and those carriers walked off, to prove a point, and they was able to successfully do it, and that's how we get into collective bargaining instead of collective bargaining. So now, we don't have that luxury because we cannot contract. So, to make these big statements and the work stops and things of that nature, it would be more, it would kill the people lose their job, because it's illegal for us to do that. But right now, we're in the middle of a contract, negotiation, we just, we didn't ratify a contract, send it back to the table. So they going back to the table because now we have to take a contract in front of Donald Trump. We don't know what that looks like. So a lot of things that we doing is the leaders are behind closed doors trying to come up with some things. But as Louis stated, it's day to day. This man just wake up and what he gonna do? And it's like keeping everybody just like, we don't know what's gonna happen, so that we cannot sit down and strategize to do something, but deny somebody else. It's something different. So each and every day is something, and we just have to just take it as we get it and try to come up with a strategy and to do that, but we cannot start it. That would be good, but then if we do that, then it shows that he really wants to get rid of it because we had the ability to strike and to stop the mill like we did in 1970. And that was the major example of how important the United States Postal Service is, because they could not do what we do. We moved that mill and they couldn't even get the National Guard in to do it.
So I've been in postal work for 32 years now. Look, it still looks like it's been traveling back over. No, we sat in the silo as postal workers when we never thought it would happen to us. We never thought that, the president or any people was trying to take us down. So when half are out protecting their jobs, when they're getting emails talking about tell us what you did last week. We have to stand up for those workers.
Yes.
Just like we're asking them to stand up for us.
Yes.
It's a collective now because we are being affected. And if you're being affected, we all have to stand hand in hand. Even though we can't strike, but if you're out on the picket line, every post worker in this nation will stand up for you because now we need you to stand up for us.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming here, to the community center. It was a great turnout. Let's say Donald Trump and Elon Musk, or as Scotty prefers, Elon Muskrat, walk through these doors. What's the first thing you're telling them?
And not the postal service.
Sit down and talk with us so we can understand what you're trying to do. Talk to us, talk to the people who actually do the work. So we can come up with something. What are you trying to accomplish? To keep, to touch the postal service. It should not be every administration come in, want to do something to the public, and want to do something. But we had a big battle with General Issa when he was in there, from California.
Yeah, I said, Jay Culver from Oklahoma.
Right, was one their hands on the postal service, it's for the money, and we would sit down and ask them, why are you taking jobs? Why do you wake up every morning, just want to play games with lively, the middle class, hardworking people? And it's just unfair, y'all tell come on, let's sit down, let's talk.
That's a GTFO.
Gentleman with the question there.
So I would, one more point on your question, I would just say, look, everyone's making money, I get that, it's always about the benefits, okay? But if you do this, who is going to be affected most? The people that voted for you in your rural community in the United States, those are the people that are gonna be impacted the most, because those people rely on the postal service to get their medicine. Again, like you said, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, they don't go to those addresses, we do. So the rule, and that's why, like I said, the Republicans will not come out publicly and oppose him. Privately, they will tell us, you support you.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
you see what's going on with the town halls and the Republican district. They're all undercover, okay, because they can't take the heat. And that's just been about the food programs, the aid, the veterans, that's happening. If they start having the town halls on the post office, who knows what's gonna happen? And it's gonna be worse. Because every person in rural, I was in Jersey 2 weeks ago, and I drove through 4 little towns. 500, 200, 100. And they had, each little town had a little small post office. Where people congregate. Now, they don't deliver mail out of there, it's going to retail outfit like PO boxes. But those are rural deliveries. And those communities are spread out. Those homes are spread out. Those people depend on us. Because you would process the mail and on the letter grade, whether it's city or rural, get the mail to them and make sure, hey, your neighbor fell down. I call the 411 or 911, can you call the family number? Or hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. Because I tell my customers, now, if you talk to them, they will tell you what's going on in the neighborhood. And then you just ask a question, they just open up and they talk to you, because they know you. And tell the young kids, hey, take care of your customers, they will take care of you. One way or another.
Please.
Yes, I'm with the Chicago Teachers Union, and we're in a battle for a contract, I want to know, how are you doing with solidarity with the labor movement?
Yeah.
Like the Federation of Labor, whatever, I mean, everybody coming on board, are we all working together? And my union, I don't know, I haven't heard anything about, solidarity movement yet. But I'm sure we're gonna have something said. So I'd like to know what you think about the issue of solidarity.
Anytime the teachers union want to strike, I'm in front of center, holding up the banner, walking with you. I stand with you. I'm a product of Chicago Public School. My mother was a teamster, so I know about the solidarity, and I know these individuals who work, we all belong to Chicago, well, 2 of us belong to the. We belong to the Chicago Federation of Labor Union.
Yes, that's great, yeah.
We work for the center. We work close with the Illinois FL-CIO. I ran into him during the event on Sunday. So the letter carriers in Bloomington and in Molina are having a rally this Sunday because their scheduling doesn't work for the 23rd. So Tim Drake was the president when AFL-CIO was gonna be in Bloomington on Sunday. I need to follow him tomorrow to see if there's anyone available to go to Moline on the night, but he's gonna, one of them is gonna come to Chicago Valley. There's, you know, every time we have something, one of us calls them and they're there for us, whether it's, you know, the affiliates or whoever, we're all united.
We have some comments or questions or comments online.
3 comments.
Okay.
Okay, first comment. Thanks for organizing this. As a former Homeland Security employee, one of my first interagency projects was tackling the risk of
Why don't you come over here? Then, can you?
Read it?
Well, I can bring it. I can bring it. I got it.
And introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Jill Manrique, Executive Director of Chicago Dog Justice. Okay. Thanks for organizing this. As a former Homeland Security employee, one of my first interagency projects was tackling the risk of IEDs in mail on passenger aircraft. We worked closely with USPS, USPIS, and private shipping companies, which reinforced for me how vital the USPS is not just for commerce, but for democracy. USPS serves areas private carriers won't, keeping Americans connected to our economy and society. It also plays a key role in global initiatives, strengthening ties with foreign governments and industry, which is critical for both national security and long-term prosperity. That's one comment. The next comment. Dismantling the post office could be the difference between life and death of some residents. Think about times when the young lady asked for a wellness check on one of her residents because she hasn't seen her and she knows that she normally checks her mailbox every day and it saved the elderly person's life. If we're not servicing the consumers / residents, it really could be the difference between life and death for some. And the next comment is, I think the mass firings are a form of symbolic mass execution. We know that violence is a strong component of fascist ideology. Suddenly throwing thousands of people out of work is certainly a violent act. And then Marcus wants to say, I just want to say the work that the Postal Service does across the board is more than essential. So to stand with you all is an honor. You all are so appreciated. That was Marcus Shepherd.
Oh.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Monica, Board Treasurer. Hey, and I'm here with Anna Thomas here from Lake County, Illinois to support in solidarity. My thoughts are all over the place, but number one, I just want to watch you with my words and just love on you guys and give support. Every agency of the federal government was created because people had suffered. People had suffered nationally. And I guess some people must have forgotten about, the bad times because they only remember the good times now and think they can come back. But you truly, the Postal Service, are the great equalizer, much like libraries. No matter where you live, whether it's populated or not, you will provide the service regularly every single GD day. And whether it's medication, whether it's the money people need, you will deliver. I don't know why I'm tearing up, but but just imagine for a second if it was privatized, right? I'm speaking for my soul. Oh my God. But just imagine for a second if it was privatized. If I'm someone who cannot afford the service, am I going to get slower service than everybody else? The things that I need to live, right? And who's to say that as somebody who runs for elected office, that if you're privatized and you lean a certain way, that you'll deliver my stuff a lot later than everyone else? How is this fair and how is this American? The federal government keeps everything on the up and up and civic, and that's where your heart has been. You're not here for one side or the other. You have been faithfully doing your jobs through hardship, through violence, through everything, and you have not asked for more glory than you asked for. You're just doing your job, right? And we appreciate that, and we see you federal workers. So I just wanted to say how much I love you and uplift you guys.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to let you know that next Monday, we're going to be having a hearing with the EPA and the VA to learn about how these cuts affect the working folks in both of those federal agencies, but also how they affect all of us. And I want to underline the importance of solidarity across industries, across unions, that you may not be able to strike, but we sure as hell can come to your demonstrations. And that's solidarity that's gonna keep us safe
Oh, okay.
and hopefully make a difference. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. If you signed up, if you registered online, for in-person, or if you registered online for Zoom, then tomorrow you'll get, information to register online and for Zoom for next Monday, with a flyer as well. So, and hopefully audio and video recording of this.
Need to get the signing sheet from whoever has it. Sorry.
And we're gonna take a picture.
We're gonna take a picture.
Well, with,
Let's take a picture, Brenda.
we have to take a
Gotta
picture.
document it.
Yes.
For who?
No, no, with Police, Louis and Keith.